what we do when we do a mistake, when we maybe have multiple balance mods enabled and we crash, or what could be the cause of our crash that we don't know where it comes from. And that will be the topic that will be presented to you from Delacraft. Hello.
Oh, hello. This is can you guys hear me? This is dialog. Nice. Um, cool. What's up? Oh, yep. Yeah. So I hope you guys can see my screen well enough. So whenever your game crashes, you'll get a little pop-up window, and you'll get a pretty unhelpful. It's like, do you wish to report this mod to crash dump or something? It's not very helpful for us end users. It's mostly for Fatshark, which you can go ahead and report. I would suggest you do send your report if you're on official realm and you crash. But when you're on modded realm, it's not going to be very helpful to them, and it's not going to be very helpful to you because the crash will not probably not get fixed if it's on modded realm. In which case, you will need to go to your app data folder, which you can see. Hopefully you guys can see. It's under users, your username, app data, roaming, Fatshark, and then Vermintide 2 um, is where you'll need to go. Or you can do percent at percent slash Fatshark slash Vermintide 2. It'll take you to this app data folder. Um, should be pinned in one of the. If it's not pinned, we'll pin it in probably the general channel or one of the help channels on the Onslaught series Discord, just so it's easier for people to access and you don't have to remember it. But you'll go there, and there will be this folder called the console logs. You open this folder, and this is pretty much the console logs from whenever you ran the game. Essentially, there's a lot of different things in them about how the game's going, blah blah blah. But the important thing for us is when it crashes. I clicked on this one. I don't even know if it crashed. I know this one it did fine. But you'll click on these console logs. They're ordered. They're names from the oldest to the earliest or youngest. So like this console log here is the most recent one. I ran it earlier today actually. And then the top one here is from August sometime. Um, which it seems fine. But anyway, so these are console logs. When you open them, though, if you've crashed, I'm going to go over here. They probably look look like a little bit more like this. But you'll go to the bottom of your console log, and you'll see there's this error stack, and you will see this crash error stack. Usually, most likely, when you crash this is a Lua crash or Lua error, which is the most likely error you'll run into with most balance mods. And in this, for this one, you can see you open it and it says fancy damage numbers. So the fancy damage numbers mod is the mod that crashed me in this instance. Sorry, this isn't my console log, but the user that was using this, they crashed due to the fancy damage numbers mod. In which case, what you should do is either disable the mod if you don't want to experience the crash anymore, and ideally, you'll go to whoever uh, ever created the fancy damage numbers mod and let them know either on their Steam page or through oftentimes Discord. You can go through and ask for or send it to them, just so they can hopefully fix it. I'm trying to see if I can tell you because I think fancy damage numbers it's got a different mod name on the workshop. Oh, it is called fancy damage numbers on the workshop. So there we go. So that would be that one. So that's probably one of the most straightforward crashes if you get. So you get a crash, you come here, you go to the bottom of your console log, and you see it's under scripts, mods, fancy damage numbers. So that's the mod that crashed you in this case. On another one, there's the another common one you'll see is when you have mismatched balance mods. So let's say you have you're playing with a friend and your friend has tourney balance enabled and another one doesn't have tourney balance enabled. So you'll come down here to the bottom and you'll see something like this: network lookup table AI inventory does not contain key 76. And it could be like table, I think there's network buffs is another one, but it'll say something table does not contain key 76 and it'll be a network lookup error. That is most often a mismatch between balance mods. Um, so whenever you see that, you'll you'll probably need to talk to your friend or whoever you're playing with and tell them, hey, we don't seem to have the same balance mod as enabled. And if you have something like that, one thing you can do to check, you can obviously ask them which ones they have enabled, but you can also look here and see the top of this console log. It's somewhere. This one has a lot of errors. Here we go. There's another way you can see which mods you have enabled, or which ones are actually loaded in. Here. All right. So you'll see all these numbers here. And this particular console log has a lot of mods enabled, over 100 actually. But you can come here and like see all the different mods that this user has enabled, which they'll say like true or false for enabled. These are just essentially loaded in, but there are a lot of mods in this case. So going through and figuring out which balance mod is not properly enabled may be a bit troublesome. But I guess if you run with 100 mods, that's what'll happen. And another one we mentioned in this stream was there's a mod called Beastman Loader that you'll need if you don't run Beastman Loader. So if your host isn't running Beastman Loader, you will see a crash. Come down here, look, you'll see this can't freeze unit of breed nil. That is one of the fixes Beastman Loader enables. If you see this crash in your console log, it's most likely because Beastman Loader is not enabled. So you want to just launch your game again and make sure you've enabled Beastman Loader, and that should fix your issue. This one's actually really common. This one and the network lookup table keys are really common crashes. Another one you'll see is another difficulty balance mod issue. This one is specific. This particular crash, I see a lot if you're playing Dense Onslaught, but you see it on other mods. It used to be in Onslaught 2 for a little bit, but it talks about trying to load breed package twice. This is something you as a user won't really be able to fix. You'll need to report this to the mod author, and you'll need to keep note, of course, of what difficulty mod you're playing on. But you'll let them know. In this case, this was for Dense. The user saw this crash and gave it back to the author of the Dense Onslaught mod. They were able to fix it. So that's another one. The user can't do too much about that one, unfortunately. This is semi-common, but this crash, it's not super common because it's more with ones that add new enemies like Spicy Onslaught, which isn't covered in the tournament. But if any balance mods or difficulty ones you have add new enemies or change the weapons that enemies use, you'll often see this weird cryptic thing about negative 18 million or 18 billion less than minimal value 0. That's usually an issue with indexing. They're called nodes, but let's see, Firewatch said something. Okay, I'll take Firewatch's word for it that Spicy doesn't change anything. Spicy Onslaught doesn't change anything, but anyways, there are issues with there's sometimes issues with mods that add new enemies to the game or change the inventory items of enemies, and it'll cause issues like this. You'll also see it sometimes there's an any weapon mod that lets you use any weapon. So you can be Sienna and use the Trollhammer Torpedo. If you do funny stuff like that, you'll see this sometimes. It's usually an animation issue or a node indexing issue. So when you try to attach things to people that weren't made for it. And then finally, the last crash I wanted to go over is just a general non-Lua crash. So you'll see something super unhelpful to most end users. That's about, it looks like this, and you come here and it's like Stingray Aftermath, and sure, like you can't do too much about that. Unfortunately, there's nothing as you as the end user, just give it to, if you can maybe figure out the mod that caused it, which might be a little difficult unless you're a mod author actively working on the mod. It's not a very helpful crash. There's not a whole lot you can do. You can post this in a console logs channel or something and ask around other people on like Discord to see if they've come across it. But if you see a crash like this, there's going to have to unfortunately start disabling mods to see which one causes it, because there's not much you as an end user can do to fix it. So, and that's kind of it. Those are the common ones. The common crashes you'll probably see, different types of crashes. Most of the crashes you see will be Lua crashes, but other than that, that's sort of it. Yeah. You'll just need to. That's sort of how you like resolve and diagnose crashes most of the time. You can fix a lot of crashes. You can fix because they're usually Beastman loader not being enabled or a difficulty mod not being not you and a friend not having the same difficulty mod. But other than that, that's it. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to direct them towards us, and we'll try and answer them. But otherwise, that's kind of it for me.